But first, tomorrow farmers and regional Australians are set to hit Canberra in the protest against state and federal government imposition of renewable projects on prime agricultural land. Now, it's something we've discussed repeatedly here on Credlin, the government's green agenda being imposed on large tracts of mostly private agricultural land. We know in order to reach the lofty goal of 82% renewables by 2030, and we are a long way behind, they're going to need to install 22,000 solar panels a day, 40 large wind turbines a month, plus build 10,000 plus kilometres of new transmission lines. We're told, and it always costs more, we're told it'll cost consumers around $80 billion. One of the farmers who's been working tirelessly to hold the government to account is Stan Moore, who's the group Save Gundary Plains, has turned the spotlight on a plan to install 700 hectares of solar panels smack bang in the middle of prime farmland just outside of Goulburn. I'm pleased to say Stan joins me now. Well, Stan, I read a piece you and a fellow Goulburn local, Louise Clegg, wrote in the Weekend Australian. Harrowing stuff, because I'll get to the ownership. That's the important thing. I want to get to the ownership of this project in a moment, but give my viewers a sense of the scale. Say they're not from a country area. What's the impact of this on farming land and your local community?
Well, it's clearly a large visual impact. What they're proposing is amongst a number of rural lifestyle blocks. The scale really gets you in that it's 700 hectares, that is 7 square kilometres. But added to that, we've also got another proposal of a similar size. So right across the floor of Gundary Plains, there will be 15 square kilometres of solar panels, 1.6 million of them. They are 5 metres high. And now that has a massive impact on not just, the rural outlets, the noise, those sorts of things, but also the value of our properties to the neighbours and near neighbours in the area. And that's causing a lot of anxiety amongst a number of people. Just on the Gundary one alone, there are some 60 residents that are impacted by that.
All right, talk to me now about the ownership point, because I think that was perhaps the most powerful revelation in what I read on the weekend, because this might have started out as a project owned by BP and put up by BP, but that's not the ownership structure now, is it?
Well, BP is still involved in the Gundary one. It is still at the development stage. There's still no EIS, but the company that is doing the proposal is Lightsource Development Australia. That is owned by Lightsource BP, which is now 100% owned by BP, British Petroleum. BP has a record of developing solar factories in Australia. It's one of the largest developers. And just before Christmas, it sold their total stock, 5 existing solar factories in New South Wales and Queensland. They sold them to the Beijing Energy Company. So they have not, as they've told us, they will come in, they'll build it, they'll own, they'll operate, etc. At the first chance they flick them off. Now, this is not uncommon. You see it happening with the wind turbines and with solar panels. Some of them we've up to over 3 new owners since they were first commissioned.
And the worry here, Stan, for people at home to understand is you only get about 15 years out of a wind turbine. I mean, Siemens, who manufactures them out of Germany, has set that 15-year figure. We know it's about 2025, depending on the scale of the solar panel, these industrial solar panels. But then there's a remediation required of the land. I mean, who takes away and recycles all of that material? You've got issues when the wind and the sun can't get to that land for the 25 years has been covered by a solar panel. There's compacted earth. It's not the same agricultural land. I mean, you can't graze on it, all of these things. I mean, is there a remediation plan, and how much confidence do you have in it?
Well, it's not, I haven't got much confidence at all in any remediation plan that's been approved. And in our case, it'll be the New South Wales Department of Planning. What they tend to do is with the existing developer, they will say, oh, we need to have a clause in there where you'll, remediate. And basically they say, oh yes, we'll decommission these sites. And that is to the developer at the time. But there is nothing stopping that developer selling those properties with or the operation, and who in the end is going to be the party responsible for the remediation. And given they change hands quite frequently, I can assure you, or it would appear to be the sensible thing to do if you were the owner of these facilities, when they come up for decommissioning, remediation, rehabilitation, it'll be a company that's got no asset backing, and it'll just fold and leave it there, probably for the taxpayer. Our concern is that it probably won't happen in my time, but in our children and their children, they will be left with the graveyard of 1.6 million solar panels in the paddock right beside us.
Stan, I'll leave it there. I know you're heading to Canberra tomorrow. I'm going to check in with your group and your protest tomorrow. All the very best. And thank you for, again, pushing this issue out in the public domain. If you at home, you want to find out a little bit more, Gundary Plains, savegundaryplains.com.au. Head there and get some information, get involved, start the fight back against this stuff. All right.